a constant presence, which one doesn't often need to describe, but it's there. And to me, that feels a lot like just poetry, like capital P poetry. So a lot of these poems, all of them, have something about light in them. This first one is a few years ago. And yeah, I wrote it in Germany. It's called Canal. How the plane of the sky was broken by not the spire, but the brick hull of a church was opiate and pious. I walk under broken gardens. I start to suspect the cadence of this day and its route, like a match point, where my spirit meets a protein dock, is a conference exchange of lectures behind my back, behind the trawled net home my mind is usually speaking out of, yards behind my head. Ducks, cobalt soft, scepter or cane-like head shape ticks in to a soft raft of bread, sliced floating like a word on canal surface. There is a stench, I'm sure, but like I said before, the bewilderment of stasis, how passive chaos can be when playing games, learning. Rarely now, things reach me. Now, a small heron cuts open like a Dutch, the channel of sky eaten upon down the middle. A box of gnats enclosed upon my head, licking me in a tongue only half dissimilar to the sun's nephews clapping and fucking on the water's surface for moments after a tourist barge floats through and by. How one moves through a colonnade versus a gallery versus a series of yards. These theories and their histories strewn like a card deck. Both my senses upon seeing the Nazar Supermarkt and my idea of a simile likening a group, lest I say band, of Turkish kids to a card deck. I am walking on currents, cutting in through an alley to the causeway with the Nazar Supermarkt, smelling tea and urging away my chai Orientalism. Currents conducted from my heels, and I am an automatic piece. Slate light of the spring's real sun against a tree with white blossoms made them roar like prophets across the street I crossed. So this is a newer one. This is written recently. In the past few months, I've been working a lot, trying to self-educate and practice and move. I've been doing a lot of movement and dancing in my room. And it's going to be performance there next week, so come through. But yeah, a lot of it is, it's been spurred on by like a growing interest in Butoh, Japanese dance style that came out of the 60s, and a lot of people kind of term it like the dance of darkness. So it poses an interesting opposition to the practice of writing, which is so codified and so steeped in kind of put like fastening things into language. So this is, this is called sun structure. It's funny. All I'd like to do today is play a game with the sun structure on the act of cradling, or see a smoke plume in utter profile. Because I ground my heel into the shadow last night. By the end, coughing, dirt up, feet being cuffed into the air, on step, on gesture. And now I just like to feel plants on my balls. It was a Saturnalia, not pink, but red, up the veranda and into the rectum. Simply last night, a wrist repeated, announced itself on that floor last night. Cupped palm. I turn it over. I pat the ground down. Nothing belongs to me. It's always worth upending the sources one thinks one gets serenity from. 4 Buto dancers on my computer screen. 10 eyes empty in the empty room the sun structures. So another thing I really like about Buto is that the kind of seminal dancers of the style, and especially one of them, Hijikata Tatsumi, he writes crazy expressive prose about dance and just about life itself. So these are two quotes about the light and darkness of Buto, which I think have always really struck me. So one is, I abhor a world, this is just from an interview, which is regulated from the cradle to the grave. I prefer the dark to the dazzling light. Darkness is the best symbol for light. There is no way that one can understand the nature of life if one never observes deeply the darkness. And then there's another interview where he says, there is a dark uneasiness everywhere, but we shake hands with the souls of those who have gone before us, and they give us their strength. Another person translates it as, because he said it in Japanese. In English, another translation is, we shake hands with the dead who send us encouragement from beyond our body. And so I think that's a really, really beautiful phrase or idea. We shake hands with the souls of those who have gone before us. And I think as a writer and a translator, that's also what it feels very much like when you translate something, or even when you write something or emulate something in writing, in a way you're shaking hands with some other being or presence that's come before you. So this is a hymn that was written by the 12th century mystic and abbess and nun Hildegard von Bingen, who's from Germany, yeah, she's great. She was on one. So this is the 21st hymn in her series of 70. So I'll read the Latin first and then the English. O gloriosissimi loc vivens angeli, qui infra divinitatem divinos oculos con mystica obscuritate omnes creaturae aspicitis. In ardentibus desideriis unde numquam potestis saciavi, o quam gloriosa gaudia, illa vestra habet forma qui in vorbis est antacta ab omnis, travo ad opere quod prima ortum est in vestro, socio, perdito angelo, qui volare voluti supra intus latens immaculacrum, Dei, unde ecce tortuosus immersus est in ruinam, sed ipsius instrumenta casus, conciliando facture digiti Dei instruit. And there's the translation. Light, when it's living, lux vivens. Light, when it's living, O messenger, most celebrated, who, less than divinity, but afforded a view into divinity's fog window of all to be created, gazes in ardent longing from which you never are satiated, never ably released, not even at sunset, as a sunset. Your form is glorious, the way it grips intact the light in each of you, intact, entirely, out of the shade. Crooked labor that first arose aslant with your colleague, a light shard, misguided, one of those who wanted to coast above a pinnacle, hid deep within a god, the limit of sky. So it corroded down to ruin, shadow, rust. But light having fallen shapes itself, a tool or instrument, a memory, an institution. During the day, counseling subjects. They look like divinity's fingers. This is another one from the spring. Years ago, but I'll skip it for now.
No!
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll come back. I don't know, like, there are a lot of people in the
I want to hear it.
Okay, fine. This is another one that I wrote in Deutschland. And it involved, I was staying in a dormitory that had like in Mitte, the name of the neighborhood comes up, it's called Mitte. It's kind of like the midtown. And there was like a LED kind of billboard that was across the street, and then maybe like another street down from my room's window, but it would be constantly playing ads for the newspaper, and so it would flash when the ad changed, and it would kind of like bounce off my walls.
Amen.
Yeah.
Let's all talk about Deutschland. Why are you talking about Germany? Where are you going?
Girl.
Where are you going?
Shade room.
I just want to interrupt to say it's kind of nice tonight. He's leaving, so Chicago's going to be
Oh, thank you, Lord. Yeah, well, this is definitely...
No, we're airbrushing you a sweater.
Oh, that's dope.
No.
No, but this is definitely...
Anyone who wants
No,
to
but, okay. Lori May, another thing, I forgot, I meant to say this actually, but Lori May also talked about her style of reading when we were talking about planning this reading. And one thing that she said that really stuck with me was the way that she compiles or composites or composes a group of texts that she's going to read is like piecing together different times that she's written things from all different times. And so she's described it as creating like a third duration. You know, there are all these disparate times that one wrote these things, but to put them all together and to orate all of them in one go creates its own kind of timeline. And so for me, this reading is very much about that too. Like taking these poems from different times of my life and also different places in my life and trying to kind of bind them all together. So it's like a third duration, but it's also kind of a third geography of places. So from Chicago, these are from Germany. We also got some like 12th century Germany in there. So, thank you. So this one's called The King and I. You know the song, Your Love is King by Sade? That's like running through this whole thing. So, The King and I. Easy to call it. Made this. Huge. Bet me, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to push up the canvas of morning dancing this round. I go outside, and there are the smells of flowers in the wind, in the air, pushed on, night, like a switch, was turned with. Laying in the salt-colored flat of my bed, in my thoughts, I think I like this, the tea. Steeping, warm, alone, and only then the text becoming synonymous with what Sade called your love. A savannah awake. Glitch toss is my breath putting it kindly, to bathe or not, dance and be aware or lean into more content. Able but unwilling to speak the genre of the songs they play in the living room. A little ill, laid not unpleasantly into the thoughts, then the LED flits, the wall an electric bill. A desire to not bathe desire. I think of calling you, bringing you juice or some bullshit. I think of wearing fever colors to the club, invested as I am in figurative voodoo. entranced by a strange sense of belonging to the unknown number of meters between the mercury flat of a light-up ab mounted on a Minta building's roof and my 2 mercury flats. Breaking lines to package delivery instead of paced with throat's tremors, non-oral, caught in a stare in the idea of between 0 and 1 and 1 and 2. Net weaving. Earlier, prone, thinking of being against typing, partially for the sake of its etymology, its boxing act, unwilling to look at that of writing. No moon to be seen. The king and I. So this is a new one, also relatively new. And this one, the site of its like birth was in Los Angeles. So it's called Angel Archive. The city becomes increasingly spectral. That city, the canal city with the Nazar supermarket, the city whose water twines through it, a vein, its borderlands pocked by lakes. Lakes I went to, lakes I saw a man swim towards me in, a man I might still be in love with. No, not him, his specter. Rabid love, though, that is here, and a precipitous sense in the air carrying salt in its gestures of wind, the wind prompting the sails of memory to billow until I am practically skipping across the water. Destiny will never be clean. What is it I found beautiful in an imitation Pompeian villa overlooking the Pacific? The encaustic, coffin portraits, their eyes incredibly luminous. Compatriots, in the traipse through death we are, they say. They do speak. Their painted expressions so fully knowing, they've taken the place of a human being's expression, wrapped into sarcophagi, the casings less buildings than clothing. Fresco fragments, each like a fully set stage, missing a wall. Life-size Apollo, missing precious gem-eyes. Archive in memory indistinguishable from a memory in the archive. Sometimes the personae must dance. No institution will escort me into the sound of my name in 6 months, in a year, in this country or coast or phantom district in Germany, glossed over daily for the past 16 years. They keep calling the plastic receptacles catching drained breast blood juice boxes. Rabid love in seeing them. Infirmed, but by choice. Not in gestation, but very briefly afterwards. Ovid's here. His best known, not the Amores, which I'm partial to, read in the spectral city belted by lakes, but his other, the transformations, the metamorphoses, the precipitous sense in the air. I assumed, upon returning to the city I'm living in, the one in the Midwest, with a capital L lake people call upon as the genesis site of house, Botticelli, Venus-like, the wind will feel like wind. The calendar will unfurl with no days marked. The ink's wet and smearable. I'm emotional, but I'm drinking water with my wine, for now. All I feel now is depth. E assures me we can hear the waves from her bedroom in Malibu, and we can. It's like white noise. The air plays at being different statues than I'm used to. Pacific-lit cities. Haven't seen the ocean in so long. Los Angeles is so weird. Do I say goodbye now to the whole cast of names as if they don't exist? the little prayer slips, all the Roman burial heads. I exist already in one of those galleries. Glass wall between life and I. Do I look in or out of the vitrine? And if out, who painted me? At this point of the lyric frenzy I write, at least I will always have this being writing being the constitution of my archive and thus my reality. But I don't. I won't. Just like the spectral city wasn't always a spectre. I reside in the Midwest of destiny. Memory wills. What is the smell? What wafts from it if not the smell of death itself? My family was undone in the city with a lake called Union. We're scattered now. Seattle, LA. I've eaten my weight in goat cheese and other charcuterie matter. Seattle. The morning light in Malibu wears a coat of fog. Berlin. I tread the dance steps of ghosts, both personal and collective, cultural and genetic. Chicago. I wear two storms in my incredibly empty eyes and dream with a tenor and dimension I've never known before. Dream of salt water, smelling it, feeling it beneath the surface of the skin. Dream with parameters equal only to the oceans. All right, this one's straight Chicago. The second, I have two more, so thank you for sitting and listening. Shout out, this one's for my girl Brandon. Love you, girl. Martine Marciella. A photograph of Martine Marciella lets me walk home, alive on Sunday early morning, having taken off a nun costume, having not slept last night's acid, wearing down but sky that is, the Day of the Dead, still marigolds, scaffolded and ringing now, the bell towers wear masks. I've been hollow recently, as if a life is the sum of two ghosts. A photograph of Martine Margiela allows the me I know to be me walk home alive. That was the day after Halloween. I was numb to Halloween, and it's a particularly hellish night. I mean, it was fun, but it's dark. All right, this is the last one. This is by a Roman poet, Catullus, and it's one of the poems in his group of poems called the Carmina, the Songs. Yeah, it's an ancient Roman poem. So I'll read the line first again. Jam ver gelidos refert tepores, jam caelifuro aeque noctialis, iucundis zephiri silescis aurais, linquantur frigi catule campi, nec caeaeque ager uber aestuosae, ad claras Asiae volemus urbes. Jam mens praetrepidans avet vagari, jam laetis studio pedes vigescunt. O dulcis comitam valete coitus, longe possimula domo profectus diversae variae viae reportam. And this translation, it kind of goes through like a reduction when you cook, you know, like you let the juice kind of like absorb and cook down, and so it grows more and more minimal. So it's trying to reduce the Latin each sequential English translation. So the first one is, now spring returns the warmth and gentle heat. Now, fury of the equinox sky grows quiet in tender west-winded breezes. Leave the Phrygian plains, Catullus, and the rich fields of Nicaea sweltering. Let us fly to stark Asian cities. Now the mind becomes impatient, longing to wander. Now smiling in zeal, my feet grow strong. Oh, my good group of companions, having set out together from home so far, to return by diverse and varied ways. Now, something akin to, but not life itself, is lukewarm, warming. Now, the fury that is the concept of axes quiets itself in deference to gusts, newer face, which stutters, leave the sea, the idea of soil, heat, of willingness. Let us pivot around, then out your form. How stark now its limit. Now, here, I am shaking within what is myself when placed. Now, I am not here, the out, fully in bloom, the zeal outing me. Oh, and the ties to some of you, my friends, a band. But always at such lengths, my loves, and though we may come from here, I attempt to report always to the variations. Thank you so much. Some people, is Savvy going to read now? Okay, Savvy.
Savvy. She's